This is the Horse Radio Network.
Greetings, everyone. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily, episode 1350, featuring the original host of Horse Tip Daily, Glenn the Geek, and he is chatting with equine veterinarian and dentist, Dr. Geoff Tucker, and he's going to go over a little bit about the timeline of dentistry and why it's important for horses of all ages. And we'll get right to our tip after we hear from today's sponsor, Wintec Saddles.
You and your horse can enjoy all the benefits of a lightweight, splash-proof, durable, and easy-care Wintec saddle, featuring world-leading innovation for your horse's comfort and performance, the Care Cushion System, and the revolutionary Easy Change Fit solution. It's easy to see that Wintec is as serious about your performance as you are. Whether simply enjoying time together with your horse or competing at any level, there's a model in the range for you. Stop by your local retailer and have a sit in a Wintec saddle, or find out more about the new and improved Wintec Specialist Conformation Saddles at wintecsaddles.us. That's wintecsaddles.us. Hi, Geoff, and welcome to Horse Tip Daily. We appreciate you being our dentistry expert for the show, and we appreciate you being on here. Well, let's get to our first tip here. What have you got for us today?
Because this is number one, I thought that I would try and focus on the most important thing to understand. But as a prelude to all my tips, the type of dentistry I perform is the traditional type dentistry. I don't follow the pack, the high-tech, hang the head from the ceiling type stuff and drugging every horse automatically. So that puts me actually in the minority. But I want to stay away from that issue. These are the issues I want to go over are important for every horse out there and every horseman to know that no matter how your horse is approached by your dentist in your area, whether he's a veterinarian or a lay dentist, it doesn't matter. These are the important issues. So there's my prelude. Okay. First tip, the threshold. This is so important. Most people think that floating a horse's teeth is like turning the switch on the walls or turning the light on. It's like an act that once it's done, it's done. And it's not, because every horse has a threshold of pain. In other words, Glenn, let's say you have a pebble in your shoe and I have a pebble in my shoe, and we both start running down the road. One of us is going to be crying, "Oh, it hurts, I can't go." And the other person says, "It's just a pebble, what's your problem?"
Well, the crying one would be me, Geoff.
I know you'd say that, but I'm not sure. I would probably just sit there and watch you run and cry, and I wouldn't even move. But here's the point. You can go out and buy yourself a brand new pair of riding boots, the best pair in the world, and you put a pebble in there, and it's going to hurt, and you're not going to go. So threshold of pain is important. Each horse is an individual. That kind of leads to one of the questions that's often asked: how often should I float a horse's teeth? And it's not a cut and dry answer. For one horse, you may never have to float its teeth, and the horse seems to be fine. And the other one has to be floated every 3 months. It also depends on their age too, but that's a whole different story. We want to stay focused on the tip pain. And I'll never forget this one saddlebred lady who called me up, and every 6 weeks I get a phone call. This, "Hey doc, it's me," and that was it. They'd hang up.
And you knew who it was.
And what I had to do. And every 6 weeks, I had to go out to the stallion and just round off this one area. It'd be smooth as a baby's bottom when I was done. And in 6 weeks, his tongue would strope it. And strope is a word, you have to go back in the olden days where the barber would be sitting there with a leather strap hanging from the chair. And they would take a razor and go back and forth and just sharpen the blade. And that's called stroping. And the tongue is kind of like the leather, and it would create the sharp point, and this horse would be bothered by it. And I have to go in there and file it down. The horse is so happy when I was done. So it's that threshold of pain, and that's my tip for today. Be aware that there are some wimps out there, and there's some tough guys. And that's going to be your determinant of how often you have to float the horse, or one of the determinants. The other is age. Horses under 5 years out every 3 months because it's so dynamic a time in there with all their teeth that are coming out, all the baby teeth that are coming out and the new teeth that are coming in. You can float a horse today, and in 3 months, there could be 4 or more teeth in there that are brand new that have never been floated. So it's not a process like turning a switch on the light. Very dynamic thing, and each horse is an individual. And the horse will tell you how often it needs to have its teeth floated. So there's tip number 1.
All right, great, Doctor. We appreciate that, Dr. Tucker. And we're going to have Dr. Tucker back again. But I tell you what, why don't you give us if people want to check you out. Now, you travel all over the place doing this. You're not just confined to one area like most horse dentists, correct?
Correct. I've got a set of wheels that seem to keep moving all the time and a phone that keeps ringing. So you call, I come.
Are you taking new customers?
It's kind of interesting. In the summertime, sure, and maybe January and February. I do a 6-month rotation, so I'm at most farms every 6 months, and everyone's kind of crunched themselves into before the show season in full October, November, December, and then 6 months later. And so, yeah, it's become polar.
Okay,
so, sure,
great.
Yeah.
And where can they find you? What's the website?
TheEquinePractice.com. It's 3 words, all smushed together, no space. TheEquinePractice.com.
And that about wraps it up. You can find links to today's guest as well as lots more tips at horsetipdaily.com. This episode was brought to you by Wintec Saddles, and we'd like to say a big thank you to them. This is Coach Jen, and I will be back again soon with another tip. So until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.